Okay, pilots, I'm gonna show you a few tricks here in my trade. Uh, Tinting paint. Okay, we got this kind of a gray color. All right, I want you to look at that color gray right there. All right, this is just a primer. Look at the difference of that gray coloring on that primer can and this is. Note the blueness of this. Okay, it looks more light blue than it does gray, but it is gray. Alright, so this is the color I started out with, and pilots, when you're mixing paint and trying to temp paint, it's also good to try to stay with your same name brand. But if you don't, I mean, you just got to test it, because sometimes it'll mix, sometimes it won't mix. It'll just come up to the top of the surface and just float there. It won't mix with the rest of the paint. So I started out with the gray, okay? And since it's got the blue tint in it, you know, I kind of got some blue in it. That's a not really a dark blue like the blue I put on my Fury. See, that's a dark blue. This is more like a sky blue or you know, something like the color I think I painted the Blue Angel with. Alright, then I started with a little bit of blue, just a little bit. The gray, got the gray looking just kind of like a dull blue. And then I started putting my white in it. See, just white, satin white. And I sat here and just kept looking at it, you know, and I'd mix a little bit. And I'd come over here and I'd touch a little bit on it there. And just see what my color would look like. But what I want to do is I want to let it dry, okay? All right, you see my touch up right there? Now can you see it? See? So that's pretty good. That's pretty close. See? But always let your paint dry. Don't never just dab it on there and say, oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's go with it. No, don't do that. Let that paint dry and then see what it looks like. So we're pretty close. We'll go on with that. Reds, you can do the same thing. Your gray might look reddish or something like that, or you got a red that you're trying to match. Well, maybe you need a little darker, okay? Don't put a lot of black in it, just a couple drops here and test, look, stir it up, look at it. Sometimes you've got to put blue in red, sometimes you got to put green in red. All right. Now, there wasn't nothing on these that I needed to do. I'm gonna show you what I needed to do. I'm gonna check my wing here. I really don't want to mess with my wing, but one of my flaps that I replaced was just a little darker gray than what was on the factory. Oh yeah, here it is. Let me get a piece of tape or two. I don't want that to spill out. Let's see, what can I do? What can I do? Let me put it right in between these two cans. Get my tape. Let's just try to hide this hinge here a little bit. I just want to hide it just a little bit. If sun gets on it, well, you know, that's a lie. If you want to sit there and cover every little bit of it, I mean, you can. I do this stuff all day. I ain't really worried about what it looks like when I get home. A customer's car, they pay me 8 hours a day. But when it's my own stuff, I'm in a hurry. Okay. Not even gonna worry about that clasp there. Matter of fact, I'd like to get a little bit on that. I don't even know if I'm gonna use them clasps or not. FMS clasp back in this day here, pilots, was not mentionable. They was kind of flimsy. They looked more like LX model flaps than they did FMS, not flaps. Cuffs. Alright, let's bring this up. Let me get something here. What do I need? What do I need? I'll just use this. I'll hold that thing up there. Just putting a little bit on it. I ain't really just coating it. I'm just kind of blowing a little bit on it. I got my air pressure turned down a little bit this time. I had it was just literally painting a while ago, but right now I'm just kind of touching up stuff. Now I got a little bit of overspray here. Let's see if I can just kind of hide that a little bit. Got a spot right there. Uh-oh. Didn't want to get it on that hinge. My color's still just a little bit too blue. Might have to put some more gray in it. Yep. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. Put this back in here. Shake up my gray. Stick to the magnet. One thing leads to another. Get my other color out of it. That's better. Let's let that dry, man. Let me look at that. It's hard for you to see when it's in two different angles there. There you go. See just a slight difference in color. Let's see if I can lighten it up a little bit. Put a little bit more gray in it. You ain't even have to push the trigger and this thing just blows here. I kind of like that. I'm telling you, this is a $10 gun from Dollar General. I'm telling you. Let me get the light on here. That works for me. That works for me. Alright. Now, the real problem. What I've done, pilots, is I set this thing up and just sit it down like just flat on the rail on my deck out there, just like this. It's just laying flat down on the deck. And when I was painting it, I was just kind of doing my edges down at the bottom, just kind of blowing it down this way in this direction to keep too much paint from building up on the bottom, because I wanted the bottom to stay gray. Well, I must have just kind of, it got a little wet with me in that run. See the run where it run down on it? Got the paint soft. When I tried to clean it off, it just kind of wiped more or less the paint off than it did anything else. Let me get my cables here out of the way. And all I'm going to try to do, like I said, I got my air pressure turned down real low. And I'm just going to kind of go over some of this stuff here. And again, I'm blowing my paint in this direction on this side, and then I'll flip the fuselage around to do the other side. Kind of run down in them panel lines.